On March 12, 1983, the commandment contract Michael Jackson and his brothers had with their father, Joseph Jackson, and with the team of Ron Risner and Freddie Dimon expired. It was expected that Michael would renegotiate and sign a new deal. However, he was not eager to do it. Let's just wait and see what happens, he kept saying when the subject was broached. Michael, now 24 years old, had experienced great solo success with Thriller and, as a result, was more confident in his decision-making process. He had been presented with a double platinum award for Thriller at a press conference held at CBS's West Coast offices. He knew how powerful he had become in the recording industry. He no longer felt compelled to follow the lead of his brothers, who had said they wanted to continue with Joseph. From this point on, Ron Reznor, Freddie, and Joseph will work without a contract while Michael made up his mind how to handle it. Certainly, if Joseph wanted to continue managing Michael's career, he was not scoring any points by mistreating Catherine. Michael had witnessed a great deal of domestic heartbreak in recent years and found it impossible to separate the man he held once responsible for it from the one who managed him. He was beginning to contemplate his options. Why does Joseph have to be in the picture at all? He wondered. Is it because he's my father? Well, that's not good enough. Michael was also still troubled by a letter Joseph had written to Ron and Freddie back in 1980. In it, he assailed the managers for spending too much time on Michael's career and not enough on that on his other sons. Joseph probably did not expect the letter to get into Michael's hands. If it was up to Joseph, Michael wouldn't even have a successful solo career. Of course, Michael's success with Thriller could actually bode well for the brothers in terms of work opportunities, as long as Michael remained a part of the group, which was beginning to seem unlikely proposition, especially after his next television appearance. In March the same month, Michael had no more hit with Billie Jean. Suzanne DePaz was in the final stages of mounting an NBC special called Motown 25 Yesterday, Today, and Forever to celebrate Motown's 25th anniversary. Suzanne, president of Motown Productions at this time and Barry Gordy's respected right hand woman, expected all the former Motown stars, some of whom had left the company acrimoniously, to reunite for this one evening to pay tribute to 54-year-old Barry and acknowledge his impact on their lives and careers. There's two tree downstairs. Right. Suzanne did not find it easy obtaining commitments from the artists. For instance, it had been her idea to reunite Diana Ross and the Supremes 13 years after the group disbanded, but Diana, now an RCA recording artist, hadn't seen Barry since she left Motown. Wasn't sure how she felt about him and decided to cooperate. Her decision put a proposed Supremes reunion segment in jeopardy. It was decided that there would instead be a reunion of Michael Jackson and the Jackson Five, including brother Jermaine, who had not performed with the group since 1975. Of all the brothers agreed that it would be an excellent idea to have a reunion for Motown 25, all is except for Michael. First of all, Michael did not want to appear on a television program. The reason he so enjoyed making music videos was because in that format, he could have complete control over the final product. Every aspect of his performance could be perfected either by multiple takes or by careful editing. Performing live for a studio audience on a program that would be taped for later television broadcasts was a risky proposition. He would not have much control as he felt he needed in order to duplicate the quality of his video work. No matter how he did on television, there was no way it would be as magical. Also, playing a large part of Michael's lack of interest in Motown 25 is that working with his brothers again, even if for our national primetime audience, wasn't as appealing to him as it was to the rest of the family. For years, he had depended on the Jacksons for love, support, and even professional status. However, recently, he had begun to break away, first emotionally by distancing himself from them, and then professionally by outscaling their success with his own. He never actually made an announcement that he was leaving the group, but Michael definitely no longer wanted to be perceived as one of the Jacksons. Beyond that, Michael had ambivalent feelings about Barry. He had forgotten the meeting they had in 1975. Barry had promised that he would do nothing to hurt the Jackson family. However, he didn't seem to encourage Michael's favorite brother, Jermaine, to leave the group. It was a bit more complicated, but that's the way Michael chose to remember it. He also felt that Motown, as he put it, played hardball by preventing him and his brothers from using the name Jackson 5 at CBS. In a sense, Michael had unfinished business with Barry and, like Diana Ross, was unsure about participating in a tribute to him. It was no surprise that Joseph thought the idea of a reunion was a good one. For him, it wasn't that he cared to pay tribute to Barry Gordy, not likely, but that he saw an opportunity to present the family singing group in the way he always believed they should be presented, as a united front, brothers still till the end. Joseph also saw an opportunity to parlay the group's reunion into a major money-making tour. The idea was sure to make Michael shudder. However, Joseph was considering it. Just the same, he'll do what I tell him to do, Joseph said confidently. As usual, though, he had underestimated his son. Disregarding Joseph's wishes, Michael discussed the matter with his other managers, Ron Wisner and Freddie Dimmitt, and also his attorney, John Brecka. He then decided that he wasn't going to appear on the program. Barry was fairly blessed by the reluctance of some former Motown stars to pay homage to him. Even Marvin Gaye, his former brother-in-law, has said he would not appear. It's gonna be a great special anyway, Barry said. Oh yeah? Susan DePaz argued. Without Diana Ross and Michael Jackson, what kind of special do we have? We got The Park, we got High Injury, both were minor Motown acts. You have to talk to these people. Barry telephoned Diana. After their discussion, she agreed that she would appear on the program. Marvin Gaye eventually made the same commitment. However, Michael was still a holdout. One night, while Michael was editing a special mix of Billie Jean in a Motown recording studio, which he had leased for this session, Barry decided to show up at the session unannounced. At first, Michael was flabbergasted to see Barry, but he quickly regained his composure. Barry meant a lot to Michael, despite whatever had happened in the past. At one point, he actually wished that Barry was his father instead of Joseph. The truth is, business complications aside, Barry was always personally kind to Michael, which couldn't always be said about Joseph. Barry also had great respect for Michael, which again couldn't always be said about Joseph. Seeing Barry once again felt good to Michael, his smiling face a reminder of some good times at the beginning at Motown. Sitting next to him at the control board, Barry asked Michael why he would not appear in the Motown 25 broadcast. Michael explained why he disliked performing on television, but he did not offer his reservations regarding his brothers or even Motown. Finally, the two began discussing old times at the company, and it was clear that Michael still felt a kinship to his past there. Still, he really didn't want to perform unless he would get something out of it for himself. Why not? Everyone else was getting something out of it. Barry was getting a tribute, the brothers a reunion, just up his way. They never big ratings. Why not something for Michael? Listen, if I do this thing, I want to have a solo spot, Michael told Barry. Hey man, that's cool, Barry said eagerly. I want you to have that too. Barry assumed that Michael was talking about singing one of his Motown solo recordings, such as Gotta Be There or Ben. Barry began rattling off a list of the solo songs. He even mentioned Never Can Say Goodbye, which of course was not a solo recording. However, to Barry, who was never much for the details of Motown industry, they were all the same hits. Michael shook his head. No, Barry, he said firmly. I want to do Billie Jean. Barry started chewing on his tongue, as he always does when he's deep in thought. He explained that the special was a celebration of Motown since Billie Jean had been recorded for CBS. It made no sense to have him perform it on the program. Michael told Barry that if he couldn't do Billie Jean, he would simply not appear on the show. He wanted to prove that. As good as the classic Motown hits were, he had been able to come up with a song that was arguably even better, though he never been sure it was a good career move for the Jacksons to leave the company that made them world famous. It turned out that it was the best thing that could have happened to him and to his brothers. Now he wanted to see the public see his growth. He also wanted to promote Billie Jean, which was in the top 10 and didn't really need it. But why not? Of course, he also wanted his way. I don't know about Billie Jean, Barry said, stalling. It doesn't seem right to me. Well then, Barry, I'm sorry. There was a moment of silence. Okay, Barry agreed with a grin. It's Billie Jean. Hey, what the hell? I love that song. Oh, I want to have final edit on videotape of the song before it's broadcast, Michael added. No other artists had made this particular request. Most would not have bothered since it was so highly unusual. Barry wasn't sure what to think about it. Motown always liked to have control over final product. It's just the way it always be. However, things had to change if he wanted Michael aboard. Okay, Barry concluded with a firm handshake. And you'll do the Jackson 5 reunion, right? Because Jermaine's looking forward to it. Michael rolled his eyes inside. Yeah, sure, why not? The two smiled at one another as they rose from the chairs. Michael embraced Barry and whispered something in his ear. Barry left the studio beaming.